Hello everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic. It's the biggest weekend of the wrestling calendar, and we're going to find out what happened at WrestleMania 40 Night 1. Let's go. We start with brand new graphics for the Then Now Forever opening segment with Triple H doing the voiceover, then the WrestleMania opening video package narrated by Philadelphia's own Meek Mill. Coco Jones sings the Star Spangled Banner, and then the first wrestler out, or former wrestler I guess, is Triple H, who welcomes us to WrestleMania and says it's the start of a new era. He doesn't say it himself, but it's worth noting that on the pre-show, various people were really hammering home the fact that they're calling this the Triple H era. Anyway, Triple H doesn't stick around for very long because we are straight into the opening match of Night 1 for the Women's World Championship, Rhea Ripley defending against Becky Lynch. Rhea gets a live performance by the band who do her theme music, Motionless in White, and then we get fancy 8K camera shots during the introductory ring announcements. Rhea shoves Becky down to start, they exchange slaps, and then Becky starts to really target the left arm of Rhea Ripley, setting up obviously for the disarmer later on in the match. Rhea takes control with a few suplexes, she heads up top for a frog splash and does the Eddie Guerrero shimmy before doing so, but this gives Becky time to hop up and arm drag her down. Becky hits a guillotine leg drop on the apron and then an exploder suplex on the outside into the crowd barricade. Back in the ring, Becky goes for the disarmer, but Rhea fights out and gets a near fall off a big knee to the face. Becky counters a riptide attempt and goes back to the arm, this time with an arm bar. Rhea tries to powerbomb her way out of it, but it takes until the third attempt for her to be able to do so. They exchange more slaps to the face and then a big headbutt from Rhea, but then Becky locks the disarmer in through the ropes until almost the referee's count of 5. A top rope leg drop is countered into the prism trap, and then Rhea grapevines the hold in the middle of the ring. It looks like Becky has nowhere to go, but she rolls Rhea into a pinning predicament and the champion has to break the hold. Another riptide attempt is countered into a manhandle slam for a count of 2. Shortly afterwards, Rhea gets the riptide for a very near fall this one, but Becky does kick out just before 3. They head up top and Becky hits a superplex before transitioning into the disarmer immediately, but Rhea lifts her into the electric chair position. They tumble forwards over the ropes to the outside. Rhea lands on her feet, Becky is still on her shoulders, and Rhea hits the electric chair drop on the floor. It's very impressive from both. They head back into the ring. Rhea gets the frog splash this time, but it's only good enough for 2. Becky then goes for an avalanche manhandle slam. Rhea lands on her feet and hits the riptide into the top turnbuckle, then a normal version of the riptide in the middle of the ring. 1, 2, 3, and Rhea Ripley retains. Next up, the 6-pack ladder match with the champions, the undisputed tag team champions, the Judgment Day versus the Awesome Truth, the New Day, DIY, New Catch Republic, and A-Town Down Under. DIY get a DX-inspired entrance, which is pretty cool, and Xavier Woods brings back his old Consequences Creed look from his TNA days, and the Judgment Day wear spooky pervert masks. Everyone else brawls at the start, so A-Town Down Under just cheekily set up the ladders and go for it, but the other teams soon stop them. Tyler Bate lifts Balor, who's holding a ladder, and does a very cool airplane spin, ending with a painful-looking throw into a different ladder stacked in the corner. Bate and Dunn scale a ladder on the outside and hit nice double moonsaults to everyone below, and the match is starting to ramp up. Priest hits a razor's edge from one member of the New Catch Republic into the other one on a ladder, which looks quite scary. Truth gets on the apron. He thinks it's a tag match and gets Miz to give him the hot tag, and then he runs wild. 5 moves of doom on Balor. He hits all of them, including an AA, onto a ladder, but then he pins Balor. 1, 2, 3, but it's a ladder match. Oh no. Truth then gets Gargano to tune up the band and hit Sweet Chin Music on Priest, and then Ciampa hits a very Ciampa-looking pedigree on Priest as well. DIY and the Awesome Truth agree. They strike a deal. They want to go for separate titles simultaneously, but A-Town Down Under ruin their plan. Then they head up and pull down the SmackDown belts, and in very quick fashion, they are the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions, but the Raw ones are still in play. Bate and Dunn powerbomb Waller over the top rope through a ladder bridge. Ouch. Then Ciampa throws Bate on the outside into, I think it was like a big stand full of Prime energy drink. I think that's what it was. Sponsorships. Kofi holds Ciampa on a ladder bridge, allowing Woods to hit his tightrope elbow drop from the other side of the ring. Very impressive stuff from Woods, as always. Then the New Day scale a ladder. Kofi hits a big trust fall dive onto everyone on the outside. Back in the ring, Woods goes for it for the Raw Tag Team titles, but then Theory pulls him down and climbs himself. The New Catch Republic stop Theory and hit the Birmingham Hammer. Then the moves get really terrifying. Gargano hits a really nasty tornado DDT on Pete Dunne to the outside through a table. Very scary indeed. Back in the ring, Ciampa with a big air raid crash on bait from the top of a ladder down to the canvas below. Now R-Truth is all alone and he climbs, but then JD McDonough, who isn't one of the members of the Judgment Day in this match, interferes to stop him. Boo! JD starts to help Balor up the ladder, but Kofi takes care of Balor with a steel chair. Then the New Day tip JD off the ladder and he falls all the way through a table on the outside of the ring. Now Damian Priest finds himself all alone and climbs, even though one of the refs tries desperately to stop him. She's like, no, don't climb that, because the ladder is seriously buckled by this point. He goes for it anyway. Miz goes up and stops him and gets knocked down. All this while, the ladder is almost breaking, but thankfully it doesn't. Finally, Priest mercifully swaps out the ladder for a fresh one and climbs, but then R-Truth comes in heroically to stop him and hit an AA over the top rope to the outside. Will Truth remember the stipulation of the match this time? He does, and the Awesome Truth become Raw Tag Team Champions. So you've got that on one side of things, and A-Town Down Under being the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Next up, the match that was originally meant to involve Dragon Lee, but he was beaten down on SmackDown, so now Andrade is the one teaming with Rey Mysterio against the team of Santos, Escobar, and Dirty Dom. Rey and Dom end up in the ring together very early on, but it's only a little exchange. Then Andrade comes in and hits his lovely back elbow to Dominik Mysterio. Rey gets up on Andrade's shoulders on the middle rope, and they hit like a stacked double crossbody all the way to the outside. Ooh, very nice. Rey takes off his belt and thinks about whipping Dom, but it gets broken up before it can happen, presumably because The Rock would be furious at having his spot stolen by a different match on the card. Santos tries to tear Rey's mask because he's a heel before hitting a big kick to the chest in the Tree of Woe position. On commentary, Michael Cole brings up the chatter online about Carlito possibly turning on Rey and calls these rumors ridiculous. Ooh, interesting. Andrade hits the running double knees in the corner to Dom, and then that moonsault attempt into a standing moonsault, which is always very impressive to see. Rey dials it up and hits the 619 to Santos, and then Andrade hits a moonsault to Dom all the way on the outside, but then Berto interferes behind the ref's back, grabbing Rey's leg to stop his momentum, and Santos regains control with a head scissors. Elektra Lopez gets on the apron and distracts the referee, but Zelina Vega pulls her down and hits a moonsault. She then tries to swing on Angel, but Carlito drags her away to protect her, or because he's thinking about turning heel. Ooh, we'll find out. The LWO and Legado del Fantasma all stop fighting on the outside, with Joaquin Wilde doing his huge assisted slingshot crossbody onto the heels on the ramp. People have seen him do it on NXT if you watch that show, and it was really impressive. It's nice here as well, very good stuff. Dom tries to use a chair, but a pair of very burly masked luchadors get out the crowd and stop him. Back in the ring, Rey and Andrade take control. Rey hits the 619 to both heels, Andrade hits the message, and Rey hits a big splash, 1, 2, 3, and the babyface team win. And Carlito doesn't turn heel at all. The Luchadors celebrate with the faces and unmask to reveal that they are Philadelphia Eagles players, or I guess former in the case of Jason Kelsey and Lane Johnson. Football! Next up, Samantha Irvin announces the greatest rapper of all time, but I wasn't available on short notice, so it's Lil Wayne instead. Wayne's job is to bring out Jey Uso for his match with big brother Jimmy Uso. Jey meets Jimmy with a big dive to the outside to get us underway immediately. Jey then takes control early on, but Jimmy takes over with a Samoan drop and a pair of those running hip attacks in the corner. Very fast, very explosive. Jimmy hits several super kicks and Jey is reeling, so Jimmy mockingly does the yeet dance on the corner, then goes for a splash, but Jey avoids it and hits a super kick of his own. We have a big exchange of right hands with yeet and no chance from the crowd, then an exchange of super kicks, and they're evenly matched. Jey smiles at Jimmy, who isn't amused, and they go back to the super kicks, lots of them in fact, back and forth. Ultimately, Jey wins the battle and starts to talk a lot of trash, and then goes to finish Jimmy off with one last kick, but Jimmy begs him to stop and says, I'm sorry for everything. Jimmy crawls over to Jey and extends his hand and continues to apologize. Jey falls for it. He has compassion and pulls his brother to his feet, but it's all a trick. Jimmy hits another super kick, followed by a splash. 1, 2, but Jey kicks out. Jimmy measures Jey, looking to finish him off, but then Jey explodes out of the corner with a big spear. He heads up to the top rope, big splash, 1, 2, 3, and Jey Uso wins the match, defeating his brother in the process. Next up, the 6-woman tag team match between Damage Control, represented by Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane, and the babyface team of Bianca Belair, Naomi, and making her WrestleMania debut, Jade Cargill. The heels get a Japanese-themed entrance with performers, with fans, and I think baskets of cherry blossom and that sort of thing. The babyfaces come down on a platform. Ooh. Early on, Kairi Sane climbs to the top rope and hits her always excellent elbow drop to the outside. The heels are in control and Naomi becomes the face in peril for a while, but she gets the tag to Bianca, who runs wild on all 3 opponents simultaneously. She hits 10 punches in the corner onto both tag team champions at the same time before pressing Kairi Sane onto Asuka and Dakota. She then hits her handspring moonsault onto all 3 opponents as well, but then shortly afterwards, Dakota grabs Belair's braid to retake control of the match. Bianca gets triple teamed for a little while, but then gets the tag to Jade, Cargill, and Damage Control are terrified. Big choke slam to Asuka, Kairi gets caught in midair and hit with a nice backbreaker. Bianca gets involved again, and Asuka saves Kairi from a KOD attempt, but then accidentally missed her own partner in the face. Bianca levels Asuka with a shot from her braid and hits the KOD. Then Jade plants Dakota Kai with Jaded, and that's it. 1, 2, 3. The babyfaces win the match. And also, there's no real tension between Jade and Bianca, as many of us thought, but they seemed like good pals. Next up, a big one. Gunther defending the IC title against Sami Zayn. We see Sami backstage talking to his family, and he doesn't want his kid to see what's about to happen, but he says he'll see him soon. Next, he bumps into Chad Gable and says, let's go to the ring. But Chad says, no, you're out there on your own. You've got this yourself. You've always had this yourself. And you owe me a favor, which I think means like a future title shot once Sami wins. So that's nice of Chad, but the you've always had this line was spine-tingling. Finally, before he goes out the curtain, the last person Sami sees, and this is a very nice touch, is obviously Kevin Owens, who fires him up, slaps him in the face, and says, come on, Sami! And I'm also like, yeah, come on, Sami. The match begins, and the first chops of the match are actually from Sami, who ducks a few from Gunther and fires back with a lot more of his own. However, Gunther quickly takes control with a German suplex and now starts the chops of his own. Then some with Sami laying over the top turnbuckle, and obviously some European uppercuts too, and Sami is struggling from early on. Sami finally fires back with a running clothesline, but Gunther goes back to the chops, but then Sami comes back with lefts and rights, followed by a half and half suplex and a second one, but then Gunther ends that little surge of momentum with a big lariat, turning Sami inside out. Again, Sami fights back and goes for the haluva kick, but Gunther grabs him in a sleeper. Sami gets out of it and goes for the blue thunder bomb, but he can't lift Gunther up. He goes for it again, but Gunther slips out the back and gets another sleeper, and this one's in deep. Sami fights slowly towards the ropes, so Gunther thinks, right, forget the sleeper, hits another German, then counters another haluva kick attempt with a big shotgun drop kick, and then a powerbomb, but it only gets 2. Gunther then hits sort of a haluva kick-esque big boot in the corner, goes back across the ring for a second, but Sami charges after him and hits his own haluva kick, 1-2, but the champion kicks out. Gunther continues to dominate most of the proceedings with another huge lariat and a powerbomb and another powerbomb, but again, Sami clings on. Gunther is now a bit frustrated and glares at Sami's wife in the front row, who kind of just waves mockingly at him. Gunther then decides to stomp away at Sami and hits another lariat and another powerbomb and a big splash from the top. This is very one-sided now. Gunther is, by this stage, laughing and goes up for a second splash and hits it and continues to taunt Sami's wife. But now Sami starts firing up. Gunther goes back up for a third splash, but this time Sami charges after him and hits the haluva kick, and then an insane top turnbuckle brainbuster on a man as big as Gunther. I mean, the move's impressive on anybody, but this was maybe the best I've ever seen. Sami is now in control of the match and hits a haluva kick to a very wobbly champion, and the crowd come out of their seats for a second haluva kick. 1, 2, 3. Gunther's record-breaking title reign is over, and Sami Zayn is the new IC champion. A real feel-good moment, and he celebrates with his wife in the front row. Just before the main event, Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis are out to announce the attendance for night 1. We also see a few celebrities in the crowd, including George Kittle, Vanessa Hudgens, and my boy, Wale. And now it's time for the main event of the evening. It is, of course, Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins taking on The Rock and Roman Reigns in a tag match. If the heels win, then tomorrow night's main event is Bloodline Rules. If the faces win, the Bloodline are banned from ringside. The 4 guys make their entrances. 3 of the entrances are quite normal. I mean, Rollins has some crazy entrance attire, but I guess that is quite normal for him. But The Rock's entrance is quite special. There's like Final Boss themed stuff, video gamey, glitchy sounds of like a machine. I don't really know how to describe it, but yeah. Anyway, then his normal music hits and he comes out and stands in the middle of like a flaming Brahma Bull logo. It's very nice. It's also worth noting that he has his People's Champion belt with him that he was presented with at the Hall of Fame ceremony. Seth and Roman started off, but it's only a brief skirmish before Cody tags in and we get a preview of the Night 2 main event already. Again, though, it's quite tentative stuff. Seth comes back in, so now Roman tags in The Rock, and Seth out-wrestles him early on and looks very smug, but then The Rock hits him with a few strikes, and Seth is selling heavily for The Rock. Cody tags in, we get a long stare down with The Rock, and then Cody gets his drop down uppercut. He tags Seth back in, and they I think a double clothesline or a double elbow, and Rock takes a bump. I wasn't actually certain if he would, but he did bump in this match, so fair play to Dwayne. We get another stare down between all four guys this time, and then the faces jump the heels. Seth whips The Rock into the Prime cart on the outside, and then he spits some Prime into The Rock's face. The referee starts to count them out, and The Rock tells him, "Stop that. If you count us out, you're fired." Rock and Seth brawl into the crowd while Cody and Roman are up on the stage. Cody hits a vertical suplex on Roman while we see in split screen, The Rock hits Seth with a trash can. Rock and Seth get back to ringside and Seth hits an axe handle to The Rock off the crowd barricade. They get back in the ring, but The Rock distracts the referee while Roman chop blocks Seth on the apron. You didn't really need to distract the ref, though. Anyway, Seth is selling the leg from this point onwards, and commentary wonder if it'll affect his match with Drew tomorrow. Ooh, probably. The match slowly gets back to the ring and starts to resemble a normal tag team match again. Roman locks Seth in a WrestleMania single crab. Seth gets out of it, but Roman slowly beats him down until The Rock tags in and stops him from bringing Cody in like he cuts off the hot tag. Rock hits Seth now with a blatant low blow and threatens the referee to keep the match going, which the ref does. Seth gets an enziguri and again goes for the tag, but Roman is on the other side of the ring and drags Cody off the apron. Boo! Rock gets a sharpshooter on Seth, but Cody gets in the ring now and slaps Rock to break it up. Seth then hits the stomp on The Rock, but he can't make the cover due to his bad leg. Finally, Cody gets the hot tag and hits Roman with the disaster kick and the Cody cutter. Roman then escapes the crossroads and counters another disaster kick with a mid-air Superman punch. Roman's nose is now busted open, and he gets angry by this, and Cody then counters a spear attempt with a sunset flip, but it only gets 2. Cody goes for the Cody cutter, Seth tags him in sort of the middle of the move and follows up the Cody cutter with a frog splash, but Roman kicks out. Rollins avoids the spear and tags Cody back in, double super kicks to Roman and a stomp from Seth and a crossroads from Cody, 1-2, but Roman survives because The Rock pulls the referee out of the ring, damn it. Roman hits Cody with a low blow and the spear, but Cody kicks out this time. Roman goes to the guillotine and Cody fades, but he fights back. The Rock takes his legs out from under the bottom rope and holds on, and Roman's still got the guillotine applied, and The Rock says, "Do not break this hold," to the referee, so Seth breaks the hold by stomping Roman instead. Rocky tags in, but then stops on the apron and looks at Mama Rhodes and gets the weight belt and taunts her, and then he gets in the ring to whip Cody. Cody fights back though, and they kind of drop the belt in the ensuing scuffle, and then Cody hits the punches and the Dusty Rhodes bionic elbow. But then Cody runs into the spine buster and it's time for the people's elbow. The Rock hits the ropes, but Cody springs up and hits the Cody cutter once again. He sets Rock up for the crossroads, but Roman breaks it up with a Superman punch. Roman then sets Cody up for the spear, but Seth tackles Cody out of the way and Roman accidentally spears his cousin. Uh-oh. We get stereo pedigrees from the faces and a double pinfall attempt, but it only gets 2. The fight spills back to the outside and Rock tries to rock bottom Cody through the announce table, but Seth grabs The Rock's leg, allowing Cody to reverse it and hit the rock bottom on The Rock from one announce table to the other. However, almost immediately afterwards, Roman spears Seth through the crowd barricade and Roman and Cody end up facing off back in the ring. Cody hits 2 crossroads, but then The Rock whips him in the back from the outside before he can hit a 3rd crossroads. Roman hits the spear, Cody looks done, but then The Rock demands the tag. Roman does tag The Rock in, Rock hits the rock bottom and the people's elbow, and that's it. The heels win, as many expected, but I don't know if the match took the form that many would have expected. That's because this was, I think, maybe like the 3rd longest match in WrestleMania history. It was very long, almost, I think it's like 3/4 of an hour, and it was quite slow-paced. And quite long indeed. Let me know whether you thought it was good. Let me know whether you thought it was bad. Let me know, in fact, what you thought was the best match of the night. I think it was Sami versus Gunther. But anyway, that was night 1. And the result of that main event means that the Bloodline have won. And so Roman versus Cody on night 2 is Bloodline rules. So there you have it. That is what happened at WrestleMania 40 Night 1. Thank you to Joel and Owen for editing this video. I'll be back tomorrow for what happened on Night 2 as well. As always, leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. I've been Jack from Cultaholic, and I'll see you very soon.